This is going to be my first time doing a reaction video to an MMA event on this channel. As you guys know, I mainly stick to football stuff. That's what I think I'm, qualified to do. So I'm gonna throw a hand at this. Is something I have always enjoyed watching is mixed martial arts. The UFC obviously is the largest MMA organization in the world right now, but I have been to myself personally, in person, probably 24 to 26 professional or amateur MMA events as a reporter in a previous profession in a previous, engagement. And I thought this was one of the best fights I've ever seen. And so I thought it would be a perfect opportunity for me to do a reaction video and give some of my thoughts. And if people agree or disagree or have things to mention or elements that I missed, go ahead and throw it in the comments section. By no means do I think I'm an expert. Have zero experience grappling or striking myself. Just someone who's been to and seen a lot of events and covered them for a media organization before. Not the UFC in that regard, but the low-level professional MMA events. And look, I thought Chimaev showed a lot of heart because I thought Gilbert Burns pushed him to the limit. And me personally, I will just be upfront with you. I tend to look at fights from an overall, a global perspective, and I say that as the Jan Aljo fight just ended, and Aljo won by split decision, 48-47. I tend to look at fights from a pride judging standpoint. I prefer that, but I also recognize that opens you up for for some nefarious decisions. All right, so I'm sure that those things happened in pride and have happened in organizations all over the world and will continue to happen in combat sports. Personally, if I was allowed to or able to judge it from a pride judging standpoint, I would give the decision to Gilbert Burns. Me personally, I thought he won the fight. But Chimaev, showed a lot of guts and a lot of heart, and showed why he has, and he showed a lot of ability to make adjustments. I should say that first, and he showed why he's 11-0, and he's headed upward and onward. I would love to see a rematch between these two guys at some point. Obviously not next. Let me give you some of my observations on the fight. Some of the things I thought were important or key moments. I thought Chimaev controlled the first 2.5 minutes. Maybe it was 3 minutes of the first round. Obviously, he had a knockdown in there. They brought it. They both brought it in round one. Went after each other. Chimaev, I believe, got an early takedown. Burns defended well. I did not think Chimaev did damage on that takedown, but maybe I'm misremembering it. I thought there was a knockdown in there as well, and I did not think he did much damage thereafter either, but maybe I'm misremembering those two things. I will say one thing. In round one, I thought Burns got his respect by landing a couple of shots, and he got Chimaev's respect. He didn't back him up because I thought Burns spent most of the first round being backed up. There was occasional moments spent, in the third of the octagon, where Burns' back is to the fence and he's 1/3 closer to the fence than Chimaev was. I generally thought Chimaev controlled the ring, controlled the cage. But me personally, I do not judge fights on that criteria. If Burns was fighting more effectively, moving backwards or side to side, then so be it. But I know that's not the criteria that is utilized. I think that's a bullshit criteria, in my opinion. But Chimaev clearly won round one, 10-9. I thought Burns absolutely came back and won round two, 10-9. Now, having said that, Chimaev, I thought the first minute 30 of round two and the first minute, maybe the first 2 minutes of round two and three, I thought Chimaev looked sharp in both of those. I thought he looked like he was in control of the first 2 minutes of round two, first 2 minutes of round three. I think he faded in both of those rounds. And I'll have to go back and watch it because I thought Gilbert Burns was tired in a few moments as well. But Gilbert Burns seemed to hit a reserve tank in round two and round three, somewhere around the midway point of the round. And obviously, he really, really stung Chimaev at the end of round two. Flash knockdown, not flash KO. But look, I thought round two was Gilbert Burns all the way, 10-9. I thought it was the most decisive round in the fight, and that was before the knockdown. That was before the two right hands knocked Chimaev down. In my opinion, and this is just the way I see mixed martial arts, again, no experience being in there myself or training whatsoever. I've been around a couple of boxing gyms, been around a couple of MMA gyms consistently, taking family members to and from training. I think round two could be scored a 10-8 for Burns. Do I think it should be? I don't know if it should be, but I think there's some argument that it is. It's clearly a 10-9 for Burns. Clearly. before the knockdown. If that knockdown does not occur and you do not score that a 10-9 for Burns in round 2, I don't know what the fuck fight you're watching. For real. Then he knocks him down, and Chimaev was stung. I thought at the end of round 2, Chimaev looked really hurt, and I thought there was real worry. And I shouldn't say worry. Fighters don't worry. Fighters fight. I thought there was real concern on his face, like, oh man, this is a real fight here. And then, having said that, he's hurt at the end of round 2. It's probably 1-1 at that point if you're talking about the unified rules. And I have to talk about the unified rules, but I kind of don't give a shit about them in some ways. Round 3, Chimaev comes out and adjusted. I thought at the beginning of round 3, I thought he adjusted. He went away from heavy pressure, and I thought he chose to be more at distance, whether in a right-handed or orthodox stance or southpaw stance. I thought that Chimaev was basically trying to win the fight. He was trying to attack from distance more with the hands. More straight punches, kind of trying to stay out of Burns' distance and touch him, with force. I'm not saying he was just playing point fighting at all. But I thought he made the adjustment at the beginning of round 3, like, hey, this guy hurt me. Let me go ahead and use my range, use the asset that I have, the physical attribute that I have over him, which is range, reach, and in some ways athleticism, for real, just to be honest. Some ways athleticism. But I thought he did that for the first 2 minutes of round 3, 2.5 minutes, somewhere around there. Then I thought he faded again, for real. And maybe my timeline there of the second and third round saying he faded, maybe my time is a little off. Maybe it was 2 minutes one round, 3 minutes in the other. And look, I say this having not watched the fight a second time, at all. Just watched it one time through. Briefly watched the Jan Aljo fight on one screen while I was doing this. On the other screen, wanted to get this done. And, people give me feedback on what you think. I mean, do I think that Gilbert Burns made any adjustments? Yeah, I think he made one small one in early mid-second round. I thought he went for a couple of takedowns where he probably recognized I'm not going to get the takedown, but I think he was just trying to make Chimaev work. I think he was just trying to get him into deep waters and not really drown him, but just make it damn hard for Chimaev to swim through him so that Burns could land some strikes. And I thought that strategy worked. I thought that was an adjustment. And when I say adjustment, what I mean is it's not something Burns did in round 1. It's something he did in round 2, and by my memory serving, 1:30, and I didn't take any notes. I haven't watched the fight a second time. Now, having said that, that could have been Burns' strategy from the beginning, but he got taken down early, and he got dropped, I think, in round 1. So maybe he just didn't get a chance to implement his strategy in round 1, and so maybe it's not an adjustment. I'm just saying it's altered fight behavior in round 2 versus round 1. I think it's a smart strategy by him, trying to make Chimaev work defensively. No one has done that. If you were to project Chimaev forward, this fight makes him better. He just went in there and was pushed, really pushed. And there's going to be a lot of people who think he lost, and there's nothing wrong with those people thinking that. I'm one of them. I think that Gilbert Burns, won if I have to pick a winner. But I'm a person who has no trouble with draws. None. I'm a person who has no trouble with a 10-8 round. None. I think there should be more of them. And again, that's coming from someone who's been to, 24, 25, 26. I've lost count. I don't even know, low-level professional MMA events, 5 or 6 UFC events, and, 10, 12, 15 amateur MMA events, with kickboxing, boxing, and mixed martial arts on the card all at the same time. So I've had eyes on a lot of fights. And does that mean that I should be a judge? Hell no. No, sir. Not qualified at all. And I was offered to be a judge one time with about 2 hours notice and say, hey man, that's not legal. You can't do this shit. You can't do it. I'm not certified. It was an amateur MMA event or something like that. And look, I do not think that the judges have it easy at all. Chimaev attacked, landed strikes, pushed Burns backwards in round 1. Cage control. He had it. I don't really value cage control a lot. If Burns is fighting great, moving backwards side to side, then so be it. So be it. But Chimaev clearly had the cage control in round 1. Round 2, I think he did as well for the first, 2 minutes or so, somewhere around there. And then I thought 60% of round 2 and 3 was Gilbert Burns. I think there's something to say for 29-28 Burns. If you have it 29-28 Burns, I don't think you're wrong. If you have it 29-28 Chimaev, I don't think you're wrong. The reason why I say under a Pride scoring system, I would award the win to Burns is if we were to the only discernment that we have to make is round 2 10-8 or 10-9. That's how I look at it. Other people, you probably don't see it that way. No problem. No problem. Tell me in the comment section why I'm wrong. Why I don't understand unified rules. I actually do understand the unified rules. There's certain ones I don't care about. For real. I don't. I love what Chimaev did in those adjustments that I mentioned. I could be wrong as far as the takedown attempts. I thought the takedown attempts disappeared mid-second round for the rest of the fight. Maybe there was one there in the third round. I haven't looked at the stats. I haven't looked at the strikes landed, so maybe somebody's going to come on here and say, man, Chimaev outlanded him, 60-40. I don't know that. To me, what I think I saw was round 2, Burns outlanded him 60-40. Something like that. Maybe 65-35. Round 1, I thought Chimaev landed more, but I thought Burns landed a couple of hard strikes that backed him up, gained his respect. Projecting this moving forward for Chimaev, like everybody's going to say, do you think he beats Colby? You think he beats Usman? I mean, the Chimaev we saw in the cage tonight, does he beat Usman? No, he don't. I don't think he does. He doesn't bully Usman in the first 2 minutes of every round. Now, am I saying that Chimaev is going to gas? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying I don't think that he's going to walk through Usman in the first 2 minutes of round 1, kind of like he did for Burns. I thought he was dominant in the first 2 minutes. I thought there was 2 strikes Burns landed in the first 2 minutes. The one that I thought was really important was the low kick, the calf kick, excuse me. This will be my last point. I am not aware that Chimaev switches stances as much as he did tonight. You see him here landing what looks like a jab from right-hand stance. I'm not aware that he did, and if he does, if that is a part of his arsenal, something he does often, then just correct me in the comment section. I'm all right with that. I thought the calf kick might have been what forced him to move to a southpaw stance. It was the first low kick that Burns threw. He tried 2 more through like maybe 8 minutes of the fight, and I think Chimaev was ready for the last 2. I think one of them he kind of moved to check and kind of checked it with his knee a little bit. It wasn't perfect. It was a little sloppy. I thought Chimaev's jab from a right-handed and from an orthodox and a southpaw stance, was clearly his best weapon as the fight got later on. And so is cardio something to worry about for him? I don't know. He took a lot of damage, and he had to throw out a lot in this fight. He couldn't just overwhelm Burns with 2 or 3 strikes or 1 takedown. He had to go deep into the arsenal, and he did. So give him credit. Fun as hell fight to watch, fun as hell event. Like I said, and my last thought on Jan and Aljo. If I was to judge it from the Pride scoring system, I would give that fight to Jan. I would. But see, that's kind of simplistic too, because Aljo landed a lot of strikes from the back. In round 2 especially, I thought he had the body lock, the body triangle from behind, and landed a lot of strikes, particularly as you got later in the round, and he recognized, hey, even if I do lose position here, it's going to be okay because we're near the end of the round. So even me saying that I would give the fight to Jan under the Pride scoring system, I kind of even disagree with my own statement. I recognize that Aljo had some great adjustments from the first fight. I would like to be able to watch it, a little more intently, and then give a reaction video to that if people are interested in that. You guys let me know what you think of my thoughts and what you thought of this fight. Chimaev defeating Burns by, unanimous decision. Could have obviously been a split decision, but deservedly so. Got to give the guy credit for making adjustments and pulling this one out.